record. Nicole, you feeling ready to roll and you've got your eyes on the waiting room?
Yeah.
We're ready to go? Okay. Super excited to be here. So I feel like I know most of you. I'm Diane Lloyd. For those of you I haven't met, I'm Diane Lloyd. I'm the founder of Inspired Results Group. And I am here with my colleague who I adore, Nicole McLellan. And Nicole is an associate coach with Inspired Results Group. You want to pop in and let them hear your voice and see your beautiful face?
Good morning, Good morning, everyone. I'm Nicole. I think I've met lots of you through Dare to Lead, but I'm excited to meet lots of new faces and take you through some mindfulness experience today, as well as just some really organic, insightful conversation with Diane.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to move through, get us rolling. And my invitation to you is to just settle in. I'm saying this for my own benefit as much as yours. Just settle into the hour together. And whatever you need to do right now to just be present to yourself, most of all, us secondarily. You've committed to an hour. I want you to think about this as an hour for you and let it be about you for a change. So what's been a practice for me lately, and those of you who've participated in our trainings and facilitation know that I am really curious and exploring this understanding of my settler status and acknowledging where I stand right now. And I'm literally standing on the ground because it helps me feel grounded. And so Nicole and I both live and work in the Coast Salish territory of the Algonquin and Wasanic nations, and doing a lot of exploration about what that means and what's significant. And I feel like when I talk about this and connect to this, there's this wisdom, these elders that are holding me in this space. And one resource that's been really helpful to me is this book from Richard Wagamese, who's an Ojibwe. Unfortunately, he has passed and he has left his legacy and his amazing words. And every time I'm bringing a group together and I want to settle in this way, I just flip through the book and see what reading pops up. And so I'm going to share this one that popped up with you. And I just invite you to close your eyes and listen to this meditation from Richard Wagamese. The truth is that I have physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and moral limitations. But physically, I want to be healthy enough to do good work. Mentally, I want to be clear so that I can let go of thoughts that do not serve me. Emotionally, I want to be aware of my feelings so that I can surrender those that do not empower me. Spiritually, I want to walk in awe, wonder, respect, and humility through the universe. Morally, I want to be a human being I can be proud of. I don't need to know what perfect looks like, only better. I can move gracefully toward better every day. So we're going to explore resilience and maybe the meaning of that. You choose what that reading means to you. There's a lot of messages there. What's landing for me is that idea of resilience is a practice, and we can keep practicing it and get better at it, but it isn't about being perfect at it. So I'm going to hand the baton over to Nicole to really get us grounded and connected.
Okay, and Diane, in saying that, the waiting room is active, so you might just want to keep your eye on that.
I will. Thank you.
Okay, good morning, everyone. And wow, I love that this slide is moving. Good morning, everyone. I'm going to take you through a couple minutes to simply get connected into your body here. This will lend into the conversation about how resilience is not just a thought process, it's actually something that is embodied in our physical being, and how we can really create this dialogue between body and mind to become more present. So I would love and encourage you to take your feet and place them on the ground underneath of you. So if your legs are crossed, can you uncross your legs? Close your eyes if you're comfortable to do so, or lower your gaze. And having your feet planted down, this is an anchoring to the earth beneath your body. And feel your feet be held here. And then start to let your awareness of the physical sensation of your body travel up to your sit bones, which rest against your seat. And then from here, let your awareness travel up your back body and see if you can find more length through your spine. Let your shoulders roll down away from your ears. And with eyes closed, ears open, crown of the head is tall. We'll start to cultivate a calm and steady breath. You could take a deep exhale out through your mouth. And then breathe in through your nose. And as you breathe in slowly, feel your belly and your chest, your whole torso expand. And at the top of your breath, hold. And feel this breath circulate throughout your body and oxygenate your blood flow. And then open up your mouth, deep exhalation, push all of this air up and out. And we'll do that again, a nice deep breath in through the nose. And filling up the chest, the abdomen, the full torso, and hold. And then open up, exhale. And here, as we start to slow down the breath, you could stay with that same rhythm or come back to a pattern that feels quite natural to you. We start to untangle the thoughts of our mind here. And this practice of paying attention to our breath simply pulls us out of overthinking the past, overthinking the future, and allows us to be here. Being here is a practice of being resilient. Your physical body, your parasympathetic nervous system, this is the invitation here to drop into rest and digest. This act of paying attention to our breath, breathing in slowly, feeling our physical body expand, and staying with our breath until we exhale and feeling our physical body contract, is a way to take that nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic. Noticing here as you slow down your breath, you slow down the energy, the movement of what's happening inside your body. I'd love for you to visualize an elastic band and see yourself taking the band with both your hands and stretching it beyond its capacity. And then imagine the band coming back to its original elasticity. This is the practice of being resilient. Doing this with our thoughts, with our actions, being pushed beyond what we think is our capacity, our capability, and having the tools to come back in our grounded confidence of who we are, how we wish to go forward. We may be stretched and pulled in various directions. And here we'll cultivate the tools to keep coming back to who we are. And sit firm and sit tall. Begin to blink your eyes open. And we'll arrive back into the space. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got lots of benefit out of that, even though I had my eyes open checking out the waiting room. And I think those who are arriving have arrived. So this is absolutely perfect. So we're going to roll a little bit differently today. And this slide kind of sets that tone. So we thought we'd introduce ourselves. We're going to be playing with this metaphor of surfing today. So, and this is how Nicole and I are rolling with this. I'm texting her, do you have a picture of you surfing? Yeah, actually I do. I said, great, let's do that. And so this is me with my family. I think, I was trying to think what year it is. I think it's 2014. One of my favorite things to do, and I know it definitely keeps me resilient. And what I'm missing right now are our family adventures. We love to have fun vacations and travel together. So now we're traveling, in Victoria. And for those of you that don't know me, which I don't think there's very many, if you're new, I'm so grateful that you're here. I am a leadership coach. I founded Inspired Results Group 9 years ago now. Time goes so fast, and have loved every minute of this journey of entrepreneurship, of coaching, leadership, and it has stretched me and tested me, and I have grown in so many ways that I am so grateful for. And the opportunity to reflect on resilience in that context has been a gift in the last little while. And this year has tested me like no other year. And so I'm grateful that you're here to have this conversation about resilience so that we can normalize it, learn from each other, and just surface what is really going on for all of us. And how are we going to surf together? So we're going to unpack that a little bit. Nicole, how would you like to introduce yourself?
Yeah, so I'm Nicole McLellan. My pronouns are she, her, and I live here in Victoria as well. I'm originally from Nova Scotia. I've lived all over the world. I used to be a school teacher, so that's brought me many different places. And this photo of me surfing is on my 32nd birthday, I believe, in Tofino. And that instructor really got a run for his money because I'm sure I was not an easy surf client. However, that's a whole other story, but I'm really excited to be here. So I'm an associate coach with Inspired Results Group and the Mindfulness Facilitator. And doing Dare to Lead with Diane, and I really enjoyed our in-person experiences, and now I feel like quite seamlessly switching to virtual and hope to go back into person someday in our near future. I really love having conversations with people, so I'm really looking forward to today, to chatting with Diane and talking about what it means to be resilient and hearing your questions and comments so that we can get a greater understanding of, because we know our bubble and what's happening for us, and I also consider Diane a friend, so she knows what's happening in my personal life of what it means to be resilient, but I'm curious to know what it means for others. So that's what I look forward to in today's conversation.
Mm-hmm. Me too. So just a quick overview on just setting the stage in terms of expectations so that you don't have to spend the hour trying to figure out what's going on, what are we doing, how am I expected to participate or not. So I invited this opportunity to create the space to be fully present to yourself. Yes, we want you to listen and connect with us. And if something comes up and it's interesting and meaningful and you want to sit in that, just go into yourself and really take that in. This is your experience. We're going to stay muted, invite you to stay muted, and cameras can stay on, which is great because we can see your faces. If the Wi-Fi bandwidth gets wobbly, we'll just invite you to turn off the video. And at the same time, if it takes the stress off to just take your video off for the time we're together, totally fine. Do what supports you. We're recording, so I want you to know, be transparent about the fact that it'll be recorded. We're also going to take some screenshots throughout so that we can share them on social media, put them in our newsletter. So if that's uncomfortable and you don't want to be in a picture, then keep your video off. And if you would like to send us an email to say, just prefer my name wasn't made public, that's cool too. Just please let us know. So I learned something new this week from Nicole. She talked about pinning the video. So there's a point in this session where Nicole and I are going to have a conversation. So you can use in the top right window, there's a view button. You can either choose speaker mode, which means whoever's talking, that's what face is going to pop up on your screen, which helps you kind of stay connected to the conversation. The other trick is to pin the video of the person speaking, and you can access that in the 3 dots on the top right of your window. Have I got that right, Nicole?
Yeah, you do. So in the top little corner, and the difference is that if somebody accidentally goes off mute, then it highlights their screen. So when you have it pinned to the speaker, it just keeps it, or pinned to whomever you choose, it keeps them on your screen no matter who's coming on or off mute.
Nice. Good learning for the week. We would love to hear from you in the chat. So if you're having an insight, if you have a question, pop it into the chat. We're going to do our best to keep our eyes on the chat and take the pressure off. If we miss something, we will capture the chat and we'll use your questions to inform conversations in the future. We'll address it in the newsletter. So feel free to engage with us. That really helps us know what you're learning, what's coming up, and we can build on that. Most of all, we want you to stay curious, open, and engage in whatever way works for you. So, Inspired Results Group, at IRG, we believe that brave leaders and courageous teams will create the future we all deserve. And this is part of that journey of getting brave, understanding ourselves, understanding resilience. We just so believe that that's part of being a brave leader. Doing the work of you is brave, and that is leadership. And what we think we're pretty good at is creating safe and inspiring learning places. And we create those spaces so that you can unleash your potential. That's what we believe. That's our mission at Inspired Results Group. And that's why we're so excited that you're here. And core values. So I've been doing work to get really clear on what are the core values at Inspired Results Group. How do we want to show up with each other? How do we want to show up with you? Courage, commitment, curiosity, and co-creative. And what's been so fun is that this whole Inspired Results Learning Lab has been a co-creative process. And we got so this idea, I've had this idea for months, decided, okay, it's time to launch this lab. And in that launch, had some designs, had some creative ideas, put it on social media, invited people to give us some input, co-created the decision, boom, we've got a decision co-created with our community. And then we asked, in our newsletter, we asked our community to give us some indication of what topics would be of interest in the Learning Lab. And that was so helpful and so insightful because I thought this first masterclass would be about feedback. That was the idea I had. Oh, I think people want to know about how to have feedback conversations. Let's do that. And then we put out the survey, got a whole lot of intel, and resilience trickled to the top. So we pivoted literally, I think, 2 weeks ago, put this together, and here you all are. And so what's super fun is that we had a prize. So we also love giving stuff away at Inspired Results. So our winner of the survey prize, I know, is on this call. Jan, do you want to come on? I want to see you. If I can, where are you? Do you want to unmute? Oh, I see you. Unmute. I'm
Hi,
so
Diane. Thanks for the book.
well. Thank you for participating in the survey and helping create today. So this book's coming to you, my friend. Putting it in the mail.
Yay.
Yeah. Thanks for being here. And
Thank you.
thanks for informing our topic today. So the lab concept is exactly this. I wanted to create a space for us to learn together, to grow together, and to experiment and engage. And the experiment, I mean, we are experimenting today, and you'll see this play out. And the reason the experiment means so much to me right now is what I'm learning about myself, is that if I'm going to be resilient in my business, in my coaching, in my teaching, I need to take the pressure off. I create most of the stress that I experience. I'm really good at creating it all on my own. Nobody else even needs to participate. And a lot of that is about trying to, create really great content or really show up in a way that's meaningful. And yes, it's a lot of like letting go of perfectionism tendencies or all of that stuff that Dare to Lead helps me work through. So this idea of like, I wasn't stressed about showing up today because I'm not showing up as an expert. I'm showing up to experiment with you, to learn with you. And that is a resilience practice for me, is changing my mindset about how I want to show up. So I wanted to create this learning lab as a space for all of us to experiment without judgment, without really intense expectations. Let's just come together, learn from each other, play around, engage, and see what happens. So that's the intention here. Some fundamental pieces of the lab that we're starting with are a monthly masterclass and a book. We're going to feature a book of the month. We're going to unpack the book, tease out our favorite elements of the book, and we're also going to launch a coaching question of the week. So we've got a little bit of structure, and I can't wait to see what else emerges within the lab. So let us know ideas, what you would like to see in the lab. Super curious to see how it goes. All right, let's settle into resilience. And this quote is a gift that one of my master's colleagues shared with me on Monday. This quote about resilience being all about, you can't stop the waves that are coming, but you can learn to surf. And I thought that would be kind of a fun metaphor to play with in this resilience conversation. And that's hence led to the way that we're introducing ourselves. Never did I think that picture would be shared with a group of participants, but hey, it's fun, it's vulnerable, it's real. And that's what we're doing. We're keeping it real here. So we're going to explore ways to surf and acknowledging that the waves are coming. And this, when I saw this image, I thought, oh yeah, this is what our current context feels like right now. These are the kind of waves we're trying to surf on at the moment. These are the big stormy realities that we've all been navigating in 2020 on a global level. And I'm part of this coaching community that talks a lot about systems and how the systems that we're navigating are impacting our clients and are certainly impacting us as coaches. And if we even just think of kind of the crises that have been going on for a while, a climate crisis, social justice crisis, we've got now a health crisis, which is leading to an economic crisis, which is and change. So there's these crises kind of going around, energy going around us, political energy. We've got our own, so that's just the context we're all navigating. And then we've got our own context of constant change and adapting. And when we just sit back for a minute and think about all of the adapting, all of the change that we have been navigating this year, on every level, our family systems, education systems. I know there's so many brilliant, amazing caring educators on this webinar right now that are adapting and changing at a rapid pace that an education system has not had to adapt and change in this way. And the pressure is high for all of us to keep up with this change and learn. Like our brains have just been tapped out with the learning and the adapting. And the wee bit of neuroscience that I've learned about in the last few years has helped me recognize what's going on for me at just a fundamental neuroscience level, that my amygdala, so the brain that responds to fear, wants to keep us safe, and it responds to uncertainty. And when that amygdala comes online, so that's the reptilian brain, the back of our head, the back of our brain, that reptilian brain is there to keep us safe. And our quality of thinking when we're in that fear, uncertain state is the fight, flight, freeze response in terms of our thinking. And a fourth one I've just learned about in the last little while, I've heard it called either appease, so fight, flight, freeze, and appease. And appease and fawn. The other description I've heard for that fourth response is fawn. So appeasing and fawning, fight, flight, or just freezing. When you think about those as our sort of cognitive options, they're not our best options. And we're trying to problem solve, we're trying to show up for people, we're trying to be creative and innovative from that brain a lot of the time. And that's hard because our best thinking doesn't happen over there. Our best thinking happens in the prefrontal cortex, and we need connection, we need positive things that lift us up. And we'll talk about what all those things are. There's all kinds of practices that are going to help you access the prefrontal cortex. And so I'm really curious about the relationship between the prefrontal cortex and our ability to be resilient and what that relationship looks like. And when and we'll talk about this in the conversation, but when I started to share this whole idea of which brain is in charge. I see it with coaching clients all the time, come into the call and the amygdala is like, lit up and there's a lot going on. And as we talk through the situation, you can literally see the prefrontal cortex start to light up and start to find solutions, think rationally about what's going on. So there's a lot going on for us on a neuroscience level. And I just wanted to normalize for all of us why we're seeking resilience in a way we've maybe never sought it before. I'll speak for myself. It's because this slide describes what we're navigating on a daily, hourly, minute by minute basis. And that it is what it is. And that's why we're here to acknowledge this and then get creative in, okay, this is what it is. So what? Now what? What are we going to do to support our ability to surf in these crazy waters? So I thought it might be helpful to just have a bit of a baseline definition of resilience. And I was curious, I'm going to look this up. Like, what is this concept of resilience? And so this quote or definition comes from the American Psychological Association. And I'm just going to read it out and you can take it in. So psychologists define resilience as the process of adapting well in the face of adversity, trauma, tragedy, threats, or significant sources of stress. Check, such as family and relationship problems, serious health problems, or workplace and financial stressors. As much as resilience involves bouncing back from these difficult experiences, it can also involve profound personal growth. And I highlighted the phrases that I thought could really support this conversation today. And help us come up with our own definition of resilience for ourselves. And each of you will have your own takeaway from this conversation, your own way of thinking about resilience. And these are just a couple of words that I thought were helpful. So that idea of adapting, the bouncing back, coming back from disappointments, frustrations, failures, change, whatever that is. And the one that I was surprised, I don't know if I was surprised, but I was so intrigued by this whole idea. It can involve profound personal growth. And I thought, yes, absolutely it can. And I think it's when we resist the personal growth that our stress or anxiety really ramps up. I think this is a place to stay really curious today, is all that we've been tested with right now, all the ways that we're trying to be resilient and practicing resilience. What are we learning about ourselves? Like, what is the growth that we want to acknowledge and celebrate about how we've navigated, how we've shown up in a really challenging time? So stay curious about that. Where are you learning and growing? And what do you want to high five yourself around as you show up every day in this unique time? So we are going to, this is the time when Nicole and I are going to experiment. And I'm just going to set the stage. Just going to check the time. So we're rolling along with time here. So Nicole, I think we'll do like a 12-minute fishbowl. So I'm going to take the slide down in a minute, but the fishbowl concept is something I learned at Railroads and saw modeled, which is for a group of participants to observe a conversation. So Nicole and I are going to step into the fishbowl. Nicole and I are going to have a conversation about resilience, and you're going to observe the conversation and learn through that observation. And we're going to, because we're experimenting, we don't have to be perfect here. We're also willing to play with you in the chat. So if you have a question that you want us to talk about, throw it into the chat. We're going to see if we can follow those questions and riff from those questions. So we don't have this scripted. We're just going to roll with this. Putting the speaker mode on up in your view might work well, because then whichever one of us is talking will show up on your screen. All right, Nicole, there you are. Yay, your smiling face. All right, how do you want to kick off the fishbowl?
Yeah, well, I think maybe I would like to extend a little bit on your neuroscience blip there, and just share a little bit about what everybody listening here, can access at home, and a tool that so it could start off with a tool, a resiliency tool that goes off of what you were just speaking about, Diane, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, sounds good. Go for it.
Okay, great. So I nerd out on neuroscience. This is the stuff that I love, and it's really supported my mindfulness and meditation journey. They're separate. Mindfulness and meditation are separate concepts. And what I want to share with you is that there's four sort of like very common states that our brain waves can be in. So we've got this, like, when you first wake up, maybe before an alarm, because an alarm can be quite jarring, and you're kind of in that state of, am I awake? Am I asleep? What's going on? You're in your delta wave state at that time. And then as you start to wake up throughout the day, you go from delta to theta to alpha to beta. And beta is our waking state all day long. So beta are the really fast waves, and the delta waves are like the really slow down. So a tool, and then also to speak to that, you have your endocrine system. So you have glands that run through your whole body, and maybe you're familiar with that, and maybe that's a whole new concept to you. But the gland that I want to talk about is the pineal gland. And so that gland is like the size of a grain of rice, and it's about an inch above your eyes, and then it back in the center of your skull. And your your pineal gland is what's responsible for your like light dark system. So your melatonin to help you sleep, and then your aliveness when you wake up in the day. And the way that we can support that gland, the pineal gland, is by really tapping into the natural rhythm of our brainwave state. So when you first wake up and you are in that delta wavelength, that is your best time to access what would be a meditation practice. So if you've never meditated before, meditation, the practice of meditation pulls you out of the past, it pulls you out of the future. We are most resilient when we're accessing where we're at right here and now. So you could try waking up and not turning on the lights, not going on your phone, and in that delta wavelength, move from your bed from a horizontal position to a seated position. And in that seated position, close your eyes maybe just 5 minutes, and you're going to stay in that wavelength, and you're turning on the pineal gland. So it's a gland, it functions within the body, and this is like the seat of your soul is what the pineal gland is known as. So when you want to access, why am I here? What are my tools? How can I navigate the day? You have that all within you. It's not about going out and pulling it from somewhere else. You can recognize when somebody is really resilient or really in their strength or their power. They didn't get that from somewhere else. You can access it from within. So I really love to encourage that this could be a great tool, that it's free, doesn't cost you anything. It's super supportive. It will probably change your whole life. You'll find it quite profound if you've never sat for 5 minutes in meditation fresh out of waking up. So that's where I'd love to start, Diane, is just that our body and our mind, they're all connected. We're always in a dialogue, right? And so you want to check in when you're not feeling resilient and you feel anxious. How do you know you feel anxious? Your body is telling you. Your body is telling you that your mind is not in a place where you want to be. So they're in a conversation. So how do you tell your body you're okay? How do you tell your mind you're okay? You have to get that dialogue going between the two of them.
Awesome.
Does that sound like a good place to start?
Yeah. Well, and I've never heard you describe that before. So I'm just like taking that in. As a powerful tool. Well, and I know when we talked about resilience on Monday as a team, I was surprised when you said, oh, I don't think of myself as a resilient person, or I don't think about resilience. And I was like, what? Really? You're one of the most resilient people I know. So I don't know where you want to take that it's not really a question, it's just an observation. I was surprised about that.
Yeah, I was sharing with Diane on Monday that in terms of my pretty regular vocabulary, I don't often refer to myself as resilient. And what I've reflected on this week and thinking about coming into this call, I think I simultaneously use the words resilient and self-compassionate. And I think we can't really have one without the other. So I went through, quite a lot of heartache this summer, and I was really feeling like I'm not sure I'm going to be able to bounce back out of this. And it was frustrating because I know the tools that I have access to. What I would share to other people, I was really struggling to access myself. And when I could access those, or when I pulled myself together to facilitate with Diane or be on calls or show up powerfully, I would have probably said, I'm accessing my self-compassion. I'm being okay with where I'm at in this moment. And I think that can interchangeably be used with the word resilient. So I'd be curious to know if you think one could happen without the other.
For me right now, no. The way my brain takes that in is self-compassion is a resilience practice.
Yeah.
And I know that's been one of the Dare to Lead pieces that I think I've taken a lot from and definitely resisted a little bit in the beginning. And now I'm like, oh, I get it. Like, this is actually the way through. And that whole learning to rise, I think it's self-compassion and curiosity is the other thing that keeps me out of the ditch when I feel like, oh, I'm getting stuck in making up some shitty stories or judging myself. Like, it's the way through that or out of that ditch is curiosity. So curiosity and compassion are probably the two things right now that support me as much as, and I was curious about, like, why do I feel so crappy in September? Like everything I've wanted for a long time is happening. And oh my God, like, am I actually going to be able to show up for all of this awesomeness? Because I'm in the ditch. And so that 6-month wall article and the grief articles that came my way in September totally shifted things for me and helped me access self-compassion, because it was like, oh, okay.
And we were talking about this, and maybe you want to share a bit about it with the group, Diane, of what resiliency tools are you leaning on now, and how do you know they're different from Diane 10 years ago or Diane 20 years ago? Like, what does it mean to evolve in your resiliency practice?
Yeah, 10 years ago, I didn't even know that was a thing. I think and you asked me this question on Monday, and it was a hard question to think about. And what came up was I didn't practice resilience. I just avoided the feelings. I avoided things, and I would just put it aside and move on. And I see this, you model this, and I'm learning a lot from you around this. And during all the coach training, all that stuff has helped me stay curious about what I'm experiencing and move through those emotions. That the Brene Brown podcast with the burnout authors, and reading that book and understanding that emotions are a tunnel that you need to move through. I maybe was halfway through the tunnel, and then I would just like close the gate. And so all that stress was sitting in me. And I think now moving through it, and the yoga and mindfulness is definitely supporting me now. And right now I'm like, all the tools, all the naturopath, all the physical, mental, and emotional supports, going back to my adored hypnotherapist, Carmen Spagnola, accessing coaching on multiple levels. It's like all the things, all the supports full on right now is what I've had to make a priority.
And I think too, it's really, for everyone listening right now, it's really about perspective taking too. So the situation that you're trying to really find your resilient self in is even just looking at what is the lens you're looking at the situation at, and is there a way to change your perspective? And perspective taking can simply be trying to find or access something within you that makes you feel better. So you're in this like really shitty experience, and you're thinking, I don't know how to move forward. Can you take your attention perhaps to your favorite vacation or a song you love to listen to? And right away, that perspective shift, your brain then starts to create the better feeling thoughts, and the better feeling thoughts create the better feeling experience in the body. And next thing you know, you feel like, okay, now I can access something to start to move out of like what the two sisters talk about, being in that tunnel. So, okay, I'm stuck in this tunnel. How do I get out to the other end? Well, I need to seek for something that I know makes me feel good. So what feels good? Okay, this whole week I've been accessing Mariah Carey, 1990s music, and blaring Mariah Carey, and that makes me feel good. It's hard to get stuck in the, I don't know what's happening next, when you're singing fantasy at the top of your lungs.
That's awesome.
Shona's clapping her hands, so I have a fantasy Mariah Carey lover in here.
We have another Mariah Carey. So I would like you to say more about the choosing your thoughts, because that I've learned so much from you about that mindset piece, the choosing how you think about the experience you're having. How did you learn that? How is that supporting you now?
Yeah, I learned a lot from Dr. Joe Dispenza. So if anybody is not familiar with him, he is a great teacher about neuroscience. He is a chiropractic doctor. He, if you really want to get into his story, he broke his entire spine in an accident and refused surgery and healed himself fully with his thoughts. They told him he would never walk again, and he chose better feeling thoughts. And to some people, that's absolutely mind-blowing. So I've read his books. One of my favorites is Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. And in this, I just reference him as Joe. I consider him like he's a friend that he doesn't know I exist. But Joe says that oftentimes we think as humans, and we're in this, very like three-dimensional world. And so we think that it goes, I have to think about something, and then I have to do the action after the thought, and then the thing becomes my reality. So think, do, be. And he talks about when you access the pineal gland, the seat of the soul, you tap into, I am energy, my computer's energy, this is energy. We tap more into that quantum physics theory that everything is energy. And so we start to get deeper into our thought process. And he says, and I've been practicing this and seeing it happening in my own life, that we can remove the do. So you can start to think about something over and over and over again, and then all of a sudden it becomes your reality. You didn't do anything to make it happen. And that's where people are, I'm thinking about a white car, and then all of a sudden you're seeing white cars everywhere, but you didn't go purchase a white car. It's your thoughts on this energetic level are pulling things to you. So if our thoughts are that powerful, why don't we start to choose better feeling thoughts? And so for some people, they think like, okay, I'll just choose a better feeling thought. Like, how's that actually going to happen? But here's something that you could play around with. Once again, another resiliency tool is, okay, let's think about a thought that doesn't feel the best. I don't know. I'm going to the States on Tuesday, and I don't know the climate that I am entering in. And that doesn't feel that thought leaves my belly not feeling very good of, oh, what am I walking into? So right now, because I'm aware, I can access, like, this isn't a good feeling. I want a good feeling. So what would feel better? What's an opposite thought to the one I'm worried about? So I'm really excited to go see my sister. Remove the idea of the climate about being in the States. I'm really excited to go see my sister. I start to think about that more and more. And all of a sudden, the feeling in my body is excited. It's not nervous. I'm choosing a better feeling thought. And so you could write out a list of your negative thoughts. What's the better feeling thought? And the process here is that our thoughts create our belief system. And we live our life and our reality based on what we think we believe. So you can change your belief system through your thoughts, and therefore change your reality. So if you feel like you're always stuck in this middle of the tunnel, really, you have the ability to get out the other end by starting with changing your thought process. Mm-hmm. Hope that didn't sound too complicated. Really, the practice can be write a thought about something that doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. What would feel better? Even if you don't believe it in that moment, you can repeat it enough times that all of a sudden it becomes your truth. My beliefs might not be the same as yours, but I believe they're true because I've been telling them to myself over and over and over again. So imagine if I just told myself something else over and over and over again, then that becomes my belief. And then my reality is based off of my beliefs.
Mm-hmm. And, we had the conversation earlier about what should our next masterclass be about. And I said, because all my good thoughts come when I'm drying my hair in the morning, like, I feel like we should do something on mindset next. And so we'll be really curious, and you could let us know in the chat or send us a message later, would this whole idea of, choosing your thoughts, being intentional, letting that drive your behavior, if that's something you'd be interested in going deeper around. Mm-hmm. And Nicole and I come at mindset, like, I think we have different tools and different frameworks that we use in the mindset work. So that would be kind of fun, actually, to experiment with that and bring those together.
Well, the comments, people are loving mindset. So
all right, mindset it is. I realized too at the beginning, I thought, don't forget to put this resilience topic in the context of leadership. And I know you're all very intelligent people who get it. Who you are is how you lead. So this resilience that we're talking about on a personal level is absolutely going to inform the way you lead. And leading self is step number one. So this is why we're focusing on you, the person, and your resilience. You will take that into your leadership context. We know that. So starting with you. Don't worry about everybody else's resilience right now. You do you. And that will model for others how they can be resilient. So let me come back to my pretty slides here. Thanks, Nicole, for that. That went in lots of ways I didn't know, and I learned a lot. So thank you.
Yeah, I think resilience is a lot about being present. So what you can do to be present right here and now is probably one of the most accessible ways to be resilient as well.
Nice. So these were some of the themes that I had hoped would come out of our quick chat. I think the one that maybe didn't come out that I just want to touch on quickly, that idea of managing expectations of yourself and then of others. So when you're noticing you're feeling tapped out, or you feel like you've hit that wall, or you're in that ditch, thinking back to what expectations am I holding of myself? And this is what I've seen happening. And I talked about this back in the spring. People wanted to, a lot of the coaching conversations I was having were like, how do I stay productive? How do I keep on top of everything? And everybody wanted to like show up at this same level when everything around us was changing. So how can we shift the expectations we're holding, mostly of ourselves, and approach it that way? Like, how can we find a middle ground here, rather than trying to get resilient and do all these things so that I can continue to be the rock star I've always been in every way? Maybe this pandemic is meant to teach us that we can dial things back a little bit in terms of the pressure we put on ourselves, and we will still be enough. What we're doing will still be enough. So we know that all of you have some great ideas. So this is my surfboard metaphor. It's like your unique surfboards, your resilience practices are unique surfboards, however you want to play with this. And creating community and connection is really important to us. So although we're pushing the time here, I am committed to the idea of having you connect. There's some incredible people in this Zoom call. I've moved you into breakout rooms, 4 people in a room. I'm just going to put the timer on 5 minutes. And I would just love for you to share with each other, what are you taking away from this conversation that will serve you, or sprinkle in a great idea that's been working for you. So 5 minutes, a minute of space each. Enjoy connecting with the beautiful humans you're going to land in the room with. And we will see you back here 5 minutes from now.
I didn't know if I was supposed to stay in the room, so I left.
Oh, hey, I can't see you. Oh, there you are. Oh, I've got weird lighting going on. No, it's good to come back out, and we're still, is the record still working when we're in breakout rooms?
Yeah, it's telling me you're recording.
Yeah, so I thought what we could do is just kind of wind up the session for those that are watching the recording. And yeah, and then we can wrap up the recording. What I want for those of you watching the recording, you've also gotten the email follow up. So we're giving you more resources. We've got the list of inspired results, resilience resources that you can access to do more learning. There's a beautiful meditation from Nicole that you can download and listen to whenever you need a Nicole hit, which we all do. And we invite you to reach out to us, engage with us. One-on-one coaching is one of the ways that we love to support people. We're doing a lot of great work with teams, learning team experiences, and we really want to work with you and show up for you. So please reach out. Let's have a conversation about how we could support you and your team. And most of all, we just want to thank you for taking the time to circle back and learn with us and experiment with us. And you can stay tuned for more Learning Lab information in the weeks to come. Any closing thoughts from you, Nicole?
No, I think that all sounds great. And yeah, we'll love to see you inside next month's Mindset Masterclass.
I think we've made a decision, haven't we?
I think so.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, I'm going to close us off. Thank you for listening. We'll see you
Thank
soon.
you.